All right, what is going on, guys? It is Drew coming to you another comic book review. So, before I get started, yes, I do comic book reviews, trailer reactions, podcasts, collaborations, anything recommended. Leave that down below. Hit that like, subscribe, follow, do all of the above, or do all of the below. And yeah, so let's get into this. This is a comic book review, and I'm jumping back into some of the other series with Marvel and DC. As you can see in the last week, I started messing with Ghost Rider and Wolverine, that little collaboration thing. Now we're at DC. So I actually jumped back into another DC. I'll get into that. That is the Night Terror. Some of the Night Terror series that are coming out. There's a whole lot of them, but I can't get them all. But I jumped into one of them, but we'll get into that. But this one I jumped into issue 1, the Penguin. This is not the This is not the Night Terrors or nothing like. This is not Night Terrors, but this is Penguin issue 1. This is a nice cover I have here. I think this is epic. Actually, I might have to get a hard, case like a CGC or something. I don't know. This is pretty epic. I mean, I love it. Look close up on Oswald. What's going on with his nose? Oh goodness, bro. Oswald Copperpot. So it's an interesting look at the Penguin. It's a very interesting look, and it's a very interesting story how it's told. It's the whole entire story is lacking of it has it, don't get me wrong, is lacking of actual conversation between characters. That's what makes it interesting. So what they did in this, each character that comes along that has anything to do with Aswald is basically like narrating their storytelling from the background, but not in the actual scene. So when the interrogator comes in, she's talking about him. When his wife comes in, she's talking about him. So they have their own. They're talking from the background about him, but there's a scenery going on. There's a scenery going on, but they're having a cover. They're telling us a story about him, which makes it very interesting. There's the guy that works at the freaking flower shop, or the guy who does his not the flower shop. That's where he worked, which is crazy. Where the guy? The guy was it? Oh God, I forgot. I want to say the barber, the guy who does the suits. I think it was his suits. The guy who fits him for his suits. Yeah, he was talking about him. Basically, like he's explaining, like he's always here. He's never late. I told him he lost weight. Look, I told him he looked good, and maybe I should have told him that. It's crazy. The wife was talking about him. Like, I don't know. You'd have to read this to understand what I'm saying. Like, let me just give you a quick dialogue real quick. Just give you a quick something out of it. So, oh yeah, there's this other guy that's at the park. He's walking through the park, for instance. The guy basically, let me just do a live. So, when it shows the Penguin, it shows him doing stuff, but the guy that he's interacting with is talking to us and not to him. But it does show interaction with them, there's even conversation with them, but it's still giving us a detail about their perspective of the Penguin, if that makes sense. It's something different. So it's kind of like something you see in movies a lot. Something you see a lot in those movies. So for instance, the guy right here says, around 4 in the afternoon, he gets up, heads out to the park. At this point, I whisper a prayer to anyone who might be listening, and I send in Officer Ryan. So, but it shows Oswald walking to the park. They get into this little, dispute, but he's just calm. Then it went from all this. He's calm. He's a good husband. Nice guy. Then he ends up being interrogated as a savage killer, and that's about as much I can explain to you. It's actually really good. Like, Everybody's giving their take on this guy. Everybody's like, this dude is he's this and this, he's this and this. I don't understand this. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm definitely going to keep up with this. I'm definitely going to make sure that I understand. And I've always had no issues with Penguin as one of Batman's villains. You know how there's some villains you're just annoyed by, like, boy, I hate that dude, bro. I mean, even in every film that the Penguin was in, the Batman the animated series, the comics, I never had an issue with the Penguin. I never had an issue with him. Even Danny DeVito's Penguin was a bit sloppy, but I didn't have an issue with it. The personality was great, even though it was weird with the hands and stuff, and him living in the swords, like stuff like that was a little weird. But I didn't even have an issue with that one. Uh, so, but this right here is probably one of the best perspectives I've ever seen of him. Now we know the Colin Kaepernick. I mean, not Colin Kaepernick. I'm talking about football player. The Colin Farrell version is coming out real soon as a series on HBO Max, which is the version that comes off the most recent Batman movie. I I think this is a good read here. Now, what is this even called? It's just called Penguin. It's just called the Penguin. There's no title to this. Dawn of DC. It's part of the Dawn of DC series and written by King, artist De La Torre. Check it out. Check it out. The Penguin.